This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Grant, I usually put you and golf together in my mind. I don't think about golf too often, but when I do, you might pop in my head every once in a while. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Phil, and the baseball really has changed over the years. I couldn't believe how tightly wound it got, when they were hitting all those home runs, and then I think they changed it a little bit. But I've got a baseball from like 1955 that has the upraised seams, and it just seems big and bulky compared to what they use now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an easy thing to think about. Why would they want the ball to travel farther? Pretty easy thing, right? People like offense, so it's like a competing thing, though. College baseball, Major League Baseball, they want the game to move along. That's why we got these clocks. But at the same time, I mean, what slows the game down? Offense, guys trotting around the bases, runs scored. Outs are what move the game along.
Speaking of offense, Phil, 21 straight games with a home run. Bob Holt is good at unearthing these facts like that and. What was the other? I guess 15 straight wins in one season for Dave Van Horn at home. I don't think he was aware of either one of those things, and of course he'd like to keep that going when Alabama comes to town and plays at 6:30 on Friday night. But at one point there was a reference in the press box, Phil, last night to the fact that Arkansas hadn't played them or hadn't beaten them something since 1965. And so somebody asked me if I was at the game at the Washington County Fairgrounds, and I said no, but I did go to some games at that venue. So I remember watching Lance Alworth and Pat Foster play, and then they went to the Legion Field where...
Wait, Alworth played on the baseball team?
Yeah, he not only played, he would play baseball, hit a home run, then he would go over and run a 9.6 100-yard dash with, back then it was 100 yards, not meters. And then in his spare time, he'd go out and play golf. He wasn't on the golf team, but he would go out to Springdale Country Club. And I remember one time he drove the first green, which was like 365 yards. And back then, I mean, this was pre-equipment, okay? And so Frank Broyles told the story one time. He said that, they got Alworth because Ole Miss did not take married players. And Lance was married to Betty, who later became the wife of Jim Guy Tucker. But anyway, so he came here on a visit, and they played golf at Fayetteville Country Club in the morning, and Lance was to go back to Brookhaven, Mississippi in the afternoon. And after the round of golf was over, Lance said to Coach Broyles, can we play another 18 holes? And Coach Broyles said to I guess it was Jim McKenzie, I believe, was maybe as somebody. Anyway, one of the other coaches, he said, I think we got him. I think we got him. And just an amazing athlete. Still, I think one of the most natural athletes ever at the University of Arkansas.
Grant, he sounds a little bit like a former football player at Arkansas that I know pretty well, who's doing this radio show with me. We play another 18 holes. That sounds
Fayetteville
like you,
Country
Matt.
Club's a fun track. If that's what you're talking about, Grant, up there, right?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't played it in a couple years, but man, I bet, what was that, 50, when Lance was there, I bet that would have been awesome to see the track then.
It was built in, I think, 1926,
Man.
and Emil Sonman with a team of horses came up here, and there was nothing up here on the hill then except the guys. I live up on this hill, but it was probably 5,700 yards. Now they've through the years lengthened some. It's probably 6,500 now from the back tee. Still a short course, but fantastic shape.
Yeah, I used to play in that 4-ball a little bit. With what's going on with spring ball up there on the hill? How's spring practice been looking?
Well, I intended to go yesterday, Matt, and ended up with income tax and things like that, not able to get over there. Did go to baseball last night, but was in the press box when the guys were doing the Zoom call with Coach Pittman, and I noticed he was not happy with how the practice started yesterday after the 12 days off, but then it got going pretty good. And I don't know about you, Matt, but there are a lot of new names. You gotta be on your toes anymore to keep up with all the transfer portal guys and the new players and the comings and goings. And I guess the one constant is KJ Jefferson back for his third year as starting quarterback. And the thing that fascinated me most about yesterday was that Sam said he and Dan Enos have talked about fourth down and going for it on fourth down, and so they practiced third and fourth down packages yesterday. In other words, like I'm thinking third and four, third and five. Okay, what do you do to get within a manageable distance, and then you go for it on fourth down? Because anymore, man, if you're not moving the chains in college football, you're behind the eight ball.
That's very true. You got to be able to get some stops, though, because, you're not going to get all of them. So you got to be able to rely on your defense a little bit. But you have to be, if you're KJ, you getting all these new receivers in and tied in, what's going on the offense, man, you got to be excited to be doing spring ball.
Grant, wasn't one of the incoming wide receivers, I can't remember which one it was the kid from Bowling Green? I think he got hurt and had to be helped off the field a week ago, but I guess it's nothing that's too serious.
Yeah, he was back yesterday doing something at least, and I don't think it's going to be a major thing, sounds like. I think they're excited about this thing. I heard someone say last night, well, Arkansas is going to go 7-5 every year regardless. Doesn't matter this or that, and there's been there's been a lot of variance from that, I would say, Matt, through the years. And where do you think this program is right now? Are they ready to go back to the 9 and 10 win seasons, or is that doable in this conference?
If with KJ, when you have the group of running backs we have, we'll see how the weapons go. If our defense can step up a little bit, we can score with anybody. I think our offense is going to be fine. We got to get some stops in this new era of football. Grant, it's bend but don't break. You might give up 458 yards or whatever, but you got to hold them to field goals. You got to try to get off the field on fourth downs. And so if our defense will pick it up a little bit, and I like our back four, our back seven that we have that's coming back, and the new schemes we're going to be doing, no reason we can't win 8 games.
It's about getting to the quarterback, too, so often. It's about pressuring him into bad decisions or getting him down to the ground. And it's also, judging from what Sam says, and again, it's spring ball, Grant, so you got to take everything with a grain, literally everything with a grain of salt that is said in spring. It's different.
But he did
he says he likes his pass rush. He likes his idea of having 4 down linemen.
Yeah, that was a priority, I think, and like the size of some of the new guys, and of course I think they're realizing that. I heard a discussion last night about Nick Saban and how he had sort of joined the modern game by bringing in Lane Kiffin. I remember that astonished everybody when he brought in Kiffin as offensive coordinator, but I think he realized that's where the game was going, and because they compared it to his good friend Bill Belichick, who maybe hasn't quite accepted all the trends in NFL football now and quarterback and all that stuff, which I found fascinating. But Saban kept up with it, and obviously is still there, not going away anytime soon, I don't think.
One of the things people are worried about, I saw this on an article on the fan-sided website that is part of Sports Illustrated, and it's people that are writing about the Razorbacks, and they had slowed down some of the film that they could get from the few spring practices they've had, and they've determined from that alone that Arkansas's wide receiver transfers that have come in, the kids from the Tesla from Division II, Armstrong from A&M Corpus Christi, and then the 6'7" kid we just talked about, and his name escapes me, he's from Bowling Green, that they are all slower than Henry Ruggs and Traylon Burks. And I'm thinking, let's try not to compare transfers coming in to current, to first-round picks and potential NFL stars. I felt that was very unfair.
Well, the guy who's done well after, his first year, he's feeling his way, Isaiah Satania, has the kind of ability, I think, that those Alabama receivers have had the last 2, 3, 4 years to not only catch it but get separation and outrun you. And he had a good day yesterday, so I was happy to see that.
Yeah, just looking, it looks like we brought in some bigger receivers that maybe not have that speed, that maybe more of your H-back, or they're going to be able to be a big slot receiver. But that being said, we have to get some speed on this team. You got to have to if you're going to win 8, 9, 10 games, you got to have some of those plays that are when it's 2nd and 4 and you throw a little slant and the dude takes it 68 yards for a touchdown. We don't have enough of those players on this team.
Yeah, that's the separator, and that's what that's what Alabama had. They had those great receivers. So, but I wanted to ask you, Phil, about the game last night. You won 16-3, and Ben McLaughlin comes in there, throws 11 pitches, gets out of the inning, a couple of strikeouts. He told us after the game he had pitched, I think, 8 innings in junior college, or something. What was it? Maybe 2 in the summer, and then 8 in junior college at Hutch, and that's been it for several years. I mean, he looked like a seasoned veteran. Of course, it's a small sample, but that would be a big help to him.
Well, I'll tell you what stood out watching him, and this is a kid who's an infielder when he's a position player, and as an infielder, you got to throw it straight on a line. But every pitch he threw, nothing was straight. I mean, he turns that fastball over. I think he'd be tough in on righties, outside on lefties, throws hard enough, 91. I think I saw 92. Threw a slider that looked good as well. But it also shows you, they're still searching for relievers. And maybe that never ends. You're always looking for guys who can go out there and get you outs on the pitcher's mound. But it just feels a little bit late in the season to have somebody making his debut on the pitcher's mound, and it's more out of necessity than anything else.
Well, it was an injury that he's a corner infielder, and he hit well, I think, in junior college, and that's what he came as, but they remembered he had pitched, and so Hogs, I think, told Van Horn he's got like you said, he's got a feel for throwing strikes. And so there he was out there. I don't know if we'll see him this weekend or not. The other guy who looked good last night was Fouch. Didn't you think? I think he was throwing 94, 95, looked like.
Oh, with a splitter too. A fall off the table splitter. I think Fouch has a real chance with this team this year. I think he's a guy that, legitimately, you could give that kid the ball in the 9th inning against an SEC team, provided that he throws strikes, and that's what separated him from the fall to right now. He didn't throw strikes enough in the fall. Dave said that they even thought about redshirting, but he's throwing strikes now. But it's on a short-term basis. It's in small samples. It's been 1 inning, I think, for 3 games. So, I think they might give him a chance this weekend, but it'll be a small sample against Alabama.
Well, he played a lot of guys last night, and Dave told us that he thought Brady Slavens was mad at him because he didn't play him, but he said he was good in batting practice. So, people were. You go and beat LSU. That first game was amazing, Phil. Everybody was so excited. Hey, if you win 2 out of 3, you're going to be ranked number 1 in the country and all that stuff. Maybe they're back a little bit more under the radar in terms of that, but I think they're going to be fine.
I think they're going to be fine, too. Just the fact they beat LSU on a Friday, I think, is pretty impressive. We'll see what happens as far as the other the rest of the series. But they're looking good, with Alabama this weekend and Ole Miss that's struggling next week on the road. So I think you're in a good position.
BetOnline remains your number 1 source for all your college basketball betting this season. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. You'll find the latest odds, bracket contests, team matchups, and game trends at BetOnline. Updated odds for everything from live games right through the Final Four and the championship game. BetOnline is where your college basketball headquarters are this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.